Livingstone, whose statue is at Victoria Falls, was actually the first white person, but not the first human being to see the Victoria Falls. There were Tonga people there who showed him the falls, so these were actually the first people to see the falls. The Tonga people called the falls Mosi Oya Tunya, which means the smoke that thunders. Livingstone, however, named them after his queen, Queen Victoria, and hence the name Victoria Falls stuck. But the Mosia Tunya name can be repeated several times without anything like a stammer, and it's pretty beautiful too. Lake Kariba is the third largest man-made reservoir in the world, running nearly 300 kilometers from one end to the other and 4 kilometers at its broadest. This lake, however, belongs to both Zimbabwe and Zambia, which were southern and northern Rhodesia respectively in the liberation period. It is also the lake with one movie plot popular in Zimbabwe that has seen more than 3 films and series made on it, the Nyami Nyami story. When it was Fort Salisbury, there were guns surrounding this city when the pioneers decided to settle in, fearing for their lives. It was a town in a constant state of metamorphosis. White dominated, mixed races domination, black domination, muffins, woodrats, and scoundrels domination. From Sunshine City to Hustler City, mothers with kids and kids with babies. Vendors trying to meet the ends, but the ends never meeting. The hustle being everywhere. hustle or die being the motto. Buildings sprouting everywhere like a boil, a carbuncle. Legal and illegal residential areas, land barons cashing in, resting places, places to be rested, rendezvous of joy, barbecues or gochi as they call it here, as people reminisced, gamblers planning their next moves, betting on losing horses, from noisy ghettos to quiet, low-density suburbs that dominate the eastern side of the city, where coffee and tea are drunk one too many times a day, and kids being taught to swim at a tender age, catching them young in all sports. But the suburbs aren't just about nurturing the young. Even the old, if they are supposed to, we have not had the chance to use Uber here or the New York yellow taxis. But here, Fumo Minicab, Rick's Minicab are some of the cabs that have dominated our city. Who can forget them making a strong clocking and ticking sound, warning you about the money required at every few meters? And there was always the ice cream man in a van or on a tricycle, ringing his bell all over the town, and the ever-punctual United, the omnibus, playing the city routes, always on time, every time, this city. Salisbury, the then capital seat of Rhodesia, was named after the British Prime Minister, Lord Salisbury. Harare was the name of a center for blacks in Rhodesia, taken from the then king who once ruled the area. But now, Harare refers to the whole city. Airports come in all shapes and sizes. Zimbabwe first had an airport in the Rhodesian period. This was known as the Belvedere Airport, but it was inadequate and so was abandoned in 1957 for the present Harare International Airport, Zimbabwe's international airport, which has since been renamed the Robert Mugabe International Airport. This is one of the longest runways in Africa at 4,725 meters. This runway is marginally longer than the longest runway in South Africa, the O.R. Tambo International Airport, which stands at 4,480 meters. Fort Salisbury is where the pioneer Columb decided to build their city. The first shops in Salisbury were built in the then Manica Road, later on named Robert Mugabe. So, which has been the highest money denomination you have met? Well, in Zimbabwe, around 2008, we hit a world record. We had one banknote whose value was not just $1 million or $1 billion, but a $10 trillion note. Mamma mia! Lucky enough, all coins had been done away with. Otherwise, we would have needed several articulated vehicles full of coins to buy one box of matches. Oh, what a time to live! Favorite TV show?
TV, man, that was the thing. I mean, I first bought a TV, a 10-speed, a brown shoe, and the show. Sonny Spoon, Mario Van Peebles, and his dad, Melvin Van Peebles. Oh, I didn't want to miss that, you know. And the graced A-Team. Oh, yeah, you remember the crazy gang, eh? $56 million, you know what I'm saying, you know. And his wife, the Bionic Woman, the Incredible Hulk, you know, the greatest American hero. Come on, man, the first time we saw Mvenge, you know, there was Jordan Chataika. And then there was Disco, man, which became sounds of Saturday Music Box, Coke on the beat, all the sort of things, you know, with Josh Makawa Power, you know, in the 70s, man, seeing Michael Jackson doing his dances, you know what I'm saying? Of the war, man. And it was LA Law. I didn't want to miss any episode of LA Law, man. It was the thing, man. I know my dad used to watch Castle Slow, but I was the LA Law fan. The Jeffersons, man. 227, man, different strokes, man, JJ, oh, come on, man, living single, all those things. I didn't want to miss my TV. Oh boy, I couldn't live without my TV. What's your favorite TV show?
Mission the Bay, Barbie, Super Dragon Ball.
Well, Zimbabwe used to make its own TV sets and radios at places like Supersonic in Bulawayo. Days when you had to hit or hammer on top of your TV to make the view better. TV stations came later to Africa, but Zimbabwe was one of the first to get it. The two African countries to have the first TV stations in the 50s were Nigeria and Zimbabwe, and then Rhodesia. Unfortunately for Zimbabwe, we still have one TV station all this long, when others have many now.
Baba
Along the famous Harare Road, Samora Machel lies, among other things, the present-day Jameson Hotel. This hotel was actually the house of Linda Starr Jameson, Cecil John Rhodes' closest buddy, who is also buried at Matopos Hills. Zimbabwe has many beautiful hotels and lodges that include Leopard Rock, Troutbeck, Elephant Hills, Changeta, Rainbow Victoria Falls, and many more. But one hotel stands out as one of the top 10 best hotels in Africa. And this hotel is the Victoria Falls Hotel in Victoria Falls, of course. A hotel so nice it had to be named twice, Victoria Falls in Victoria Falls. Now, meetings are normally held at hotels or conference rooms. But one international meeting, which was held in Rhodesia, was held at a place that was either a hotel, a motel, or the Holiday Inn. In 1975, on the 25th and 26th August, the South African leader Vorster, Ian Smith, Kenneth Kaunda, Evo Muzorewa, Joshua Nkomo, and other Zimbabwean leaders sat in a railway carriage at the apex of the Victoria Falls Bridge for a regional conference. What an odd place for a meeting. No wonder why nothing came out. And beer was drunk to the last drop. So it was reported.
They didn't quietly go out. They went back into the refreshment place there, and they told me that before they left, there wasn't a drop of alcohol left in the whole place. They cleaned it out, and they staggered out.
And every drop of liquor, which considerable, was drunk.
Oh, well, I won't deny that at all. We used it, but we were not drunk.
Zimbabwe has had many high-profile visitors like soccer players such as Romario, Patrick Kluivert, filmmakers such as Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, Danny Glover, Steve Harvey, Arnold Schwarzenegger, musicians such as Tony Braxton, Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, Bridger Isaacs, Tracy Chapman, Bruce Springsteen, and many others. But perhaps the most famous artist to visit us and even think of investing was Wako Jaco, otherwise known as Michael Jackson, the then world's most famous musician. One Zimbabwean female musician used to be an opening act at Michael Jackson's shows. This was Rosala Miller, who even had their own English song in the British Top 20. Really, a song from a Zimbabwean in the British Top 20 and even the International Top 40. But there was one Zimbabwean group that had achieved a song in the British Top 20 and the International Top 40. A song that hardly received airplay on Zimbabwean radios. This group was the Bundu Boys, and their song was entitled Shabini. Even up to now, not many Zimbabweans know this song. Do you? There were many famous sports persons in both the Rhodesian and Zimbabwean era who have been forgotten by time. These included wrestlers like Oliver Tengende, soccer players like George Shire, Peter Nyama, Moses Chunga. There was also Freddie Mukwesha, who was one of Rhodesia's first exports to Europe. Peter Ndlovu, Boy Ndlovu, the dribbling wizard, who had to appear among the top players when he was still in Division 1, as well as the only player to win the Soccer Star of the Year award with two different teams, Stanley Senior Moscow Dodoma. But there's one other sports person who was hampered by the sanctions during the Rhodesian era, and thus many didn't hear about him. This was Atuo Mandasa, a sprinter who could have stood his own had he been allowed to participate on international events. The man was so fast that at one race he beat a horse to the crossing line. Fidi Pidis, now Lewis, Usain Bolt, eat your heart out. In 1980, the Zimbabwean female hockey team won gold at the Olympics. This was Zimbabwe's first Olympic gold. people like East Coventry added some more gold years later. Golfers from Centenary, Mark McNaught and Nick Price, world champions. We have also had other great sportspersons like Mark Marabini, who was for triathlon. But there's one other sportsperson time soon forgets, and that's the one who won the most Ironman titles, Paula Newby-Fraser. She participated in the triathlon sport, which is a triathlon event that has 3 different races: swimming for 3.8 kilometers, cycling for 180 kilometers, and running for 3.8 kilometers. This was the prestigious event known as the Hawaii Ironman. Fraser won the Ironman title a record 4 times, probably one of our greatest sportspersons ever. Talk about one crazy sport, boxing, which has produced people like Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman. This sport is very popular, but can be very painful for both the participants and those who are watching. Those fists are nothing easy to go by. Zimbabwe has been lucky to have many great boxers. These include Flashdance Chisanko, Mosquito Zomuya, Sticks McLeod, Langton Schoolboy Tinago, Manucci, many more. But one name that rose to become the main boxing mountain of Africa was proud Kilimanjaro Chinembile, a heavyweight boxer who easily won the African heavyweight title. Don't and can't were never in his vocabulary, as he hammered anything in his way. At one time, he knocked out the Ghanaian champion, Adama Mensah, who claimed that he had seen elephants fighting him, so Kilimanjaro was using juju, he alleged. Maybe his fist felt like some juju, some magic.